you been up to?
Working. I just got back from Arizona. Did ayahuasca ceremony with the
Hmm.
family in Sedona. So that was nice.
So like people just fly you out
Yeah, I
and
get to that.
uh,
I got wings. I don't need to get food. It's like, what are you talking about?
I
Yeah.
mean, this is a big deal. I mean, look at you. First of all, you got the headdress on, you get the beads, the shirt, unbuttoned, be sexy. Okay? But you come up, you show up as this, and then I already know the conversation is about to be lit. You want to know how I know?
How?
Have you heard of I Ching, or as the Romans call it, I Ching?
Yes, I
Okay,
studied that chain.
I recently studied myself, and
Okay.
I went ahead and did a coin toss for today's message, and your energy came through so strongly just in the message. I was like, come on now.
Yeah.
This is going to be so good.
Hey, let's do it.
Okay, so this is these are the hexagrams, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it started with number 20, which is labeled. I use this website called Divination Foundation. I just really like their interpretations and understandings of the hexagram.
Hmm.
So the 20 is for overview. Overview calls for composure and contemplation. As a result of deep introspection, an invisible energy emanates from us, influencing others without their being aware of it. Do not underestimate the power of this force. Like the wind blowing across the treetops, its presence is perceived through the effect it has on everything it touches.
Mm,
Hmm,
that's profound.
extremely. And you
Hmm.
work with the hawk spirit. The hawk has to use the wind to fly. And like while they're
Hmm.
out there flying, they have this bird's eye view and they can contemplate things from a wider perspective.
Hmm. That's how I always come.
Yeah, yeah.
I always come from that view.
But for those that don't know about I Ching, these lines that I have drawn here, some of them are called old. Some can be young or moving, and some can be old and static. So whenever you get an old line, you change it to the young line, and this is what's happening now, and this is what's about to happen, right? So for what's about to happen is called increase.
Mm.
When opportunities for increase arise, very good fortune comes to those who act swiftly and boldly without falling into the trap of letting their actions be merely self serving. If you aspire to a position of prominence, the most enduring strategy is to work to raise the tide of your entire community, company, or relationship rather than settling out to swim upstream on your own.
Mm. That sounds good. Cause my message for like all of this year has been collaboration.
Mhm. Yeah. And why? Like, why do you feel like you're being guided to do that?
Just because I've like over the years, so I've always just done a lot by myself. Just just not because I didn't want to work with anybody, just being that type of person.
Yeah,
So they're just trying to break me out of that. So it's okay to work with other people.
it
You don't have to
is.
carry the whole. You don't have to carry the whole load and surmount all this pressure upon yourself. Yeah.
Hmm. So it's interesting. I too am going through this journey of collaboration and coming into union with others, but I've
Mhm.
noticed there were some things in me I needed to heal
Mhm.
before I could build community.
Okay,
Because you can't build if you can't build with yourself, you can't build out here in the real world. What you really building?
that's facts.
And I've been learning how to sit in the presence of God and build from that place versus I'm building from a place of fear of the future. I'm trying to what I'm building is trying to fix an imagined future that's not even here yet
It's not even
versus
real. All right.
right, it's not even real.
Yeah.
It's not
Mhm.
even real.
All you have is the present moment. It's all that you focus on. What's right before you.
Yeah, but as I'm going on this journey and me and because of my age, I've always been exposed to the internet. Like I don't really have a life before the internet. So I've found it kind of difficult to learn how to be present and to fully commit and honor this now moment
Hmm.
in a practical way. Like, what does that even look like?
I mean, going outside with
Really,
no
it's that
with no
simple.
with no electronics in your hand. Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Especially as a woman, you should spend a lot of
Mhm.
time in nature, like a tremendous amount of time in nature versus anything else. And then everything else, all the answers that you want, everything else will manifest from that. That's how you
Mhm.
receive. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Talking to the grandmother herself. Like nobody want to talk to the big mama. Like
Mhm.
how you
Cause
expect to
we,
get anything?
cause
You
we
know?
know she gonna tell us about ourselves. We don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Why not? Because
Cause
after
growth is
because
uncomfortable
this
and
is
it's scary.
but this is what happens though. Once you make it a habit of doing it, is there's only so much she's going to tell you about yourself. So once she tells you all there is about yourself, then she starts to tell you things about other things. And
Mm.
that's the information that you want. So sit in the lessons of yourself. It's okay because they don't last forever. They don't just continue.
Ooh.
They, they just don't continue on and on. Sitting with just like these medicines, sitting with these certain medicines, they don't just keep continue talking about or going on beating on you, especially if you're doing the work. Now, if you're not doing the work, yeah, they're gonna keep beating you over the head with the same message. But if you're actually out here self-evolving, and doing the work, staying disciplined within yourself, then yeah, it comes a time where the messages be about other things and not
Mm.
just you. And that's where the place you want to get back into. That's the place where our ancestors were. They were in the place of tapping in to get information about the present now, like the present. That's all we have. So you want information about what to do in this present moment, right? So that's traditionally what they were doing. They wasn't sitting around trying to heal from these traumas, trying to break programs. They didn't have
Mm.
telephones and computers to try to disconnect from. So they didn't have all these things. Of course, I'm sure they had their things, their vices back in their day, but not so much as this world today has upon them. You know what I'm saying? So they were able to usher in other technologies and other things and tools to use, like real tools. Like this headdress I have on is a piece of technology. This is a tool that I
Mm.
use. It's not just a costume that I wear, it's just to look good. And these are the things that our ancestors were bringing back. You know what I'm saying? Functional tools of technology to help us elevate and evolve.
Mm.
If you're not doing that, then what are you doing?
Right. And that's why being in the present is so important. But you mentioned something really dope. You mentioned that it's not always going to be this healing journey. And that's the something that I've just now realized for myself. I'm not going to be doing shadow work and shadow weaving in this heavy ego death. I'm not going to be doing that for forever. The healing journey
No.
is a treatment plan. It's medicine. Like plant
Right.
medicines and all these medicines, they're not meant to be taken for forever. That's not medicine,
Right.
that's a drug.
Right.
And just like that, the healing journey, I'm not going to be having this heavy work for the rest of my life. Like eventually you
No.
do heal.
Right.
Yeah, like
Once you get into your light self and your light body, then what? Nobody wants
right.
to talk about that. Everybody always want to talk about doing the work. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
I've been doing uh plant entheogens for over a decade. So like I'm into the exploration aspect. You know what I'm saying? I went through the healing. I
Mhm.
talk a lot about the healing because yes, it did help me heal and overcome a lot of things. But after that, it gave me so much more. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? The healing of myself was just a speck of of what's going on in the grand scheme of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the self is very fucking tiny.
Yes,
Very tiny.
tiny. And the
There's
space inside of you is vast. Like
yeah. Mm,
that little
mm.
place that you're trying to heal is like a grain of sand inside of you.
So tiny. And yet
Right.
while you're healing it, it feels like the biggest thing in the whole wide world. And then you
Yeah,
get
it
to
does.
that's why I heard some people say like when the rags to riches story, when you're poor and then you become rich and you're on the mountaintop and you're on this high and then you realize happiness is not there either.
No,
And I had to have that moment with myself, like now that I'm healed, that doesn't mean I automatically have this happiness. Like
no.
it's this continuing of the journey after
Right.
the self.
Yes, indeed.
Something else I wanted to talk to you about was um these medicines, because this snake, the essence of the snake, like I know we've had our own personal conversation about it, but I really have to
Yes,
bring it back
yes.
because it's this is a type of thing that you don't know till you do it. Like until you're a part of the club, you're not going to understand. Even if I explain this to you, you're not going to quite grasp what I mean by you become the snake. Like your essence, my I feel like my essence is fused with the snake, just like my essence is fused with the mushroom.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And I feel like
Yeah,
my literal DNA, my biology is changing.
it's changing. That's what it's designed to do. It's to alter
Mm.
your DNA. It's to unlock certain aspects of your DNA. That's why these elixirs they work down at the cellular level. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? So it's doing something to you, and they're very subtle. Like these elixirs are things that I think, in my experience, because I've seen tremendous results, like physical results, like repairing my eyesight using these things over a expanded period of time. It's not just a let me try this and you're gonna get it. These things, because they're so subtle and they work in ways that aren't very visceral at first.
Mm.
You have to really sit with them. Like just like I call myself Cobra Commander because like I've done that for over a year and a half consistently, like every month, or I'm doing some Cobra. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like just because it's done tremendous, has tremendous effects on my eyesight, having me working with it consistently. You know, now you can get some results, like if you're battling an ailment. People have seen results in a few treatments or so, but I think there's still a lot more outstanding results, like a full reversal of oneself, of like saying working with these on a period from 3 to 12 months, you
Mm.
know, like consistently, like every month being able to work with one snake, not just hopping around from snake to snake, working with one specific snake and sitting with that snake and gaining the aspect of that snake before you move on to something else. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just in my experience. That's just how I practice medicines in general. You know, anything I'm dealing with, I'm gonna make sure I spend a significant amount of time with that, and,
Yeah.
and gain an understanding inside and outside. See what it's doing physically, mentally, spiritually. You know what I'm saying? All these things affect you, and you have to know how it affects you. Like for
Yeah.
real.
By sitting with it and practicing, like and giving it time and space.
Yes, to actually do what it's designed to do.
Mm.
Like that's what I'm saying. If something penetrates down at the cellular level, that means it's going to have to take time to bubble up to the surface. But you're talking about your cells; it's so minute. So by the time it takes time for it to come up to the surface of the skin, you know what I'm saying, or
Mm.
the surface of your life to actually see what's transpiring. So I
Mm.
mean, it's a lot of new data to us, to me as well. That's why I'm taking my time and just sitting with these things and trying to understand them. Like you're saying, like understanding this snake, because you
Mhm.
have these aspects of this snake now, and you
Mhm.
like, yo, why am I acting like this? Why is this doing this? Because Yeah, I got forgot. Like,
Yeah, I have to keep reminding myself, baby, you took snake venom. Don't forget.
yeah,
Okay, I have a question because, okay, your
yeah,
name is Chief Nighthawk. A hawk
yeah.
is a predator of the snake. So, like, do you ever, like,
But
feel.
a nighthawk, well, Chief Nighthawk comes because Nate traditionally we call an owl a nighthawk.
Okay,
So my totem is an owl.
okay.
But in having the totem as an owl, I do study the hawk because it's the uh octurnal of the nocturnal. So it's like the yin and yang,
Yeah.
you know. So it they but that's what but your question is, you saying do I have feel a conflict? Was that where you were headed?
Yeah, conflict was a strong word, but,
Okay.
like, do you feel them, I guess, working together, collaborating? Not that they're
Yes, see,
enemies, but they're friends.
because I've been working with like different animal totems already, it's you realize that you're all, so you're
Mhm.
blending all these aspects of oneself, like together. That's why in mythology you might have like a griffin, a half a eagle, half lion. You know what I'm saying? Or you have serpent with wings and these blending of creatures. So that's the changing of your DNA. You're blending all these DNA, unlocking your DNA to the fullest potential because you have all of these aspects inside of you already.
Mhm.
All these different animal aspects are inside of you already. So all you're doing is just tapping in and unlocking those parts, and then using whatever you need, when you need it.
Yeah,
My sight. If I need keen sight, call on the hawk. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I need some long sight or wisdom, call on the owl. Call
Mm.
on the serpents for different things. So you activate, call on these things and use them. Use the different aspects of them. It's like some X-Men type stuff. You know what I mean?
No, it really is. It
Yeah,
really
it
is
is.
like um a gathering of superpowers. And what
Yeah.
I love about having the foundation of allness or oneness is that
Mhm.
you have this understanding that you're not obligated to work with this animal or this animal. You can
No.
choose freely to work with which animal you feel compelled to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So whatever speaks to you, that's what you work with.
So
Because that's what,
interestingly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say because that's what's resonating inside of you. So it work.
Right. Recently a dragon came to me
Oh yeah, I am a
and
dragon. I was born a year of the dragon.
I mean, the level of confidence and like strength and but also like this deep knowing and this like old ass magic, like way
Yeah.
before even magic, like before all of this shit, like that's what the dragon feels like to me. And it was just this big black dragon and like I became it, and then in my dream, like it was relinquished into the world. So now I'm like, oh shit, there's dragons running around,
Yeah.
and it's just it's just so dope to be able to work with these different aspects and evolve different parts of myself.
Mhm. It is.
Hmm. It's just deep. Like sometimes I used to go back and forth of like, am I imagining this? Is magic even real? But to me, it's all a choice. Like if you believe magic is real, then it's real. If you don't believe you, then it's not. But
I
it's
mean, yeah, I guess in aspects and ways.
what you thinking? Like it can still affect you whether you think it's real or not.
um, yeah, certain things that I guess that you call magic. Yeah, if you don't believe in it, it can affect you. You know what I'm saying? And then it'll have you because something is affecting you, and you might get awakening, have an awakening to that magic is could possibly be real because you're going through these things. Then it changes your belief. Like I've seen people who didn't believe in something and then go through things and then be like, oh yeah, that's real because it's happening. So I
Hmm.
mean, it's kind of. it's not a yes or no question. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It's just different perspectives. You know, it can, and it can't at the same time.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like that's this law of duality is very prominent. What you been up to?
Working. I just got back from Arizona. Did ayahuasca ceremony with
Hmm.
the family in Sedona. So that was nice.
So like people just fly you out
Yeah, I
and
get to do that.
uh,
I got wings. I don't need to get flew out.
dang, that's the life. Like that is my dream
Uh,
life. And come home to
why?
a farm. You said
Oh, you
why?
say that's your dream life? The what?
Mhm.
To travel?
To travel and hold space for black people, well, not just black people, but my focus is black people, and to open
Right.
them up to these medicines that they're so I feel like black people have this natural thing about these plant medicines and these fungi and animal medicines, and just holding that space for them so that they
Yeah.
can see this can help you.
Right. Indeed, man. Hey,
But
make it
yeah,
happen.
it is happening, and it's happening like this. To me, this conversation is medicine.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. That's my one of my. I practice a lot of medicines, just not giving somebody something. Speaking. I do sweat lodges, fire ceremony. You
Mm.
know, it's a lot of different type of medicines. I think one of my first medicines was hugging. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Ooh.
Yeah, hugging. 10 seconds.
Listen,
Give me 10 seconds. That's all I ask for.
you know what? I felt your, I don't know what it was, your energy when at the 2020 psychedelic conference, you were giving me
Mm.
rape. And right before, um, you like had this feather and you was like brushing it on me, and then you made this sound like a shushing noise, and when I tell you my whole spirit just calmed, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? I didn't even ask him his name. I'm letting him blow stuff up my nose, and I was just like freaking out. But then as soon as you made this noise, I instantly, like, my spirit just calmed, and I was able to receive the medicine from a calm, loving heart space. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, um,
Give thanks.
yeah, it was
Give
powerful.
Yeah, give thanks. I don't even remember that. And a lot of people's like, yeah, you gave me half pay. Like, I don't even remember that. Like, it was such a blur.
But you were doing a lot of work that day. That's a lot. How
Yeah.
is that? Like, do you have to recharge after these group
Yes.
ceremonies? Like, what does your aftercare plan look like as the medicine carrier?
Recharge. I mean, first I have disciplines of my own. So like, yoga every morning, steam room, dry sauna,
Mhm.
every day. Uh, crafting. I do a lot of crafting. That's my biggest meditation,
Yeah,
and the way I decompress and get things out. So, um, I mean, plus I have 2 kids, so I have other things that keep my mind off that. So,
right.
yeah, I do have to take time out. I don't just go hard every day, back to back, things of that nature. If I have to do back to back like this past weekend, then I'm gonna take some time off, probably a good 4 or 5 days off before I start trying to get back into doing it.
Mm. Yeah, I've definitely noticed when I hold a mushroom ceremony for someone, even if I don't go, like sometimes I'll do a little bit of mushroom just to kind of vibrationally be closer to them. But even if I don't, for the next few days, I need a break. Like
Yeah,
I need silence. Silence is the
I go
my
in. I take as my practice and my teacher. I take every time somebody gives somebody something, I take it.
right.
The only thing I don't take is Campbell. Like if I'm giving somebody Campbell, because you can't beat Campbell and give somebody, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
it's a good practice to every time take uh like a good amount
Mhm.
along with the person that you're serving, so you can really be in the space and know. Because um I guess when you really get versed as a practitioner, you you really can decipher what a person is going through in their journey, right?
Mhm.
you have to be on the medicine in order for that to happen. Because if they somewhere and you really not, you just there a little bit, then you can kind of understand what they're going through, but not really. Versus you being the, I guess, not just a sitter, but also a captain of this vessel that you're containing. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
speaking of vessel, no, the reason why I kind of shy away from it is because every trip I have like a birth. Like I literally have contractions, a labor, and then a birth. Like I have to push.
Right.
And one
So
time,
that means you need to continue sitting with self until you get past giving these births.
yeah.
Again, like what we said in the beginning of the show, you shouldn't keep having these same experiences.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The same things shouldn't keep continuing. If you're doing real work, you shouldn't
Hmm.
keep having these same experiences every time.
Yeah.
That means something's not hasn't clicked. You might need to
Hmm.
go sit with someone. You know what I'm saying? What
Yeah.
have you ever sat with someone before? Have you ever sat in a ceremony?
Hmm.
No.
Dedicated for me?
Yes.
Yeah, but it wasn't a proper, like we were literally in the car for 2 hours. Like it wasn't a
It
proper,
wasn't a ceremony. That
right,
wasn't a ceremony. Yeah.
right.
So, yeah. So yeah.
Oh, that's
Again,
good. Oh, thank
again,
you.
there's a difference. There's a difference in ceremony. Having a ceremony with these Adilgians,
Mhm.
right? The ceremony is not only for you, it's for them as well, because they're their own entity. Each and every one of these medicines is its own entity. So the ceremony is also for them. It's showing honor, respect, giving reverence to them first and
Mhm.
foremost. That's what the ceremony is for. And the container that you provide is also part of the ceremony. And then once you are providing a container or this space, you become the gatekeeper, the captain. You become all these hats of this space,
Mhm.
right? So this takes a tremendous amount of discipline, a tremendous amount of sitting with oneself. That's why a lot of people, they always, can you train me? Can you do this? Can you sit with yourself? Like
Mhm.
I I sat like it was like maybe 3.5, 4 years just sitting with myself before I even thought about it. I didn't want to do giving it. And I didn't say I wanted to do this. I never said I wanted to do this. It was like I was ushered into doing this because at the time when I got into this, there really wasn't no representation of us that looked like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this over a decade. So I remember ayahuasca saying, hey, help your community. I wanted to build a bridge for my people, like you said, like I'm like you, to help people that look like me enter back into these spaces and navigate these spaces. You know what I'm saying? And to give them the understanding of things that I didn't have when I first got into doing this. I didn't have nobody like you sitting here being able to talk to me. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
especially my Peruvian teachers, they back in Peru, you know, and they halfway speak English. I can't really wasn't a translation. So I had to, again, do a certain amount of healing. Then I started getting the information that I can share with people. You know what I'm saying? I've been to these record halls. I can share these informations. I do understand why we hold ceremony in these ways and not just, like you say, sitting in the car. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, it
Like,
was my first time.
I get it. But that's why education is so important as well. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first like I would have loved to educate people on a lot of these things. But again, when I first got into doing this, we couldn't talk about these things. Like me and you sitting here, we couldn't sit on the internet and talk about these things. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? They're just now becoming to be popular that you can converse about these things on the airwaves. But it was hush hush. So now that's what I'm saying. I got so used to that, and a lot of people they'll be like, "Man, you need to talk more. You need to educate more. You know, you got a lot of information." It's like I'm trying to get out of that because, again, I'm conditioned of not being able to have that say anything or
Mhm.
really talk
Mm.
about these things. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's important in the way we uh, conduct ourselves and hold these medicines and work with these medicines, man. It's so important, yo. I can't stress that enough. Especially there's a lot of people out here want to help people. I know, I get it. When I first got into doing this, I did want to like not help people, but I wanted to spread the word to people. Let everybody know, yo, man, you need to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You need to do this. You need to do this. I ain't want to sit nobody in ceremony, but I did spread the word, tell it like not on the airways, but everybody I come in contact with in public, I used to talk about, yo, man, you tried this? You tried it? You know what I'm saying? Man, you might want to consider trying it or whatnot. So, but as time went on, like you understand the value of ceremony, man. Ceremony is very important. And the way you conduct ceremony. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people use that word loosely too. Yeah, I had a ceremony. I bet you didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but so give me the juice. What does a ceremony look like?
I mean, what do you mean? What does it look like?
How do you hold ceremony, should I say?
I guess you would have. That's something I think you have to see versus me telling you. I can't. That's a hard picture to paint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's really a visceral thing that you have to see, and you will be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah. But there does need to be more focus and education on when knowing even when you're ready to hold ceremony for someone else, and then what to do during that process, because I was in a situation to where like I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. Like most of these people who do shrooms here are white people, and my brothers and sisters, my melanated brothers and sisters, don't have a trust for them. So when all of a sudden I take Acacia's class, and now I have the mushroom on me, like they wanted me to be there, and I'm like, I'm new as fuck. I'm new, but if I'm the one giving this to you, I feel obligated to be there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to know that you are ready to be there. Just having just having an obligation don't mean that you tricking yourself into doing something that you shouldn't have did. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I learned the hard way.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So like when a person feels like they want to hold space, right? And if they've never, just like I asked you, you say you holding space, and I asked you, have you ever been to a ceremony before? You said no. How can you hold a sacred ceremonial space for somebody that you've never even done? You've never even been to one for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I've sat in a bunch of ceremonies, so I know. Like years and years of ceremony before I even started holding ceremonies for myself. So I understand what sacred ceremony is.
Listen, not that you came on my podcast and checked the fuck out of me.
Oh no, it's not a check-in, it's reality.
It's all love. It's love. It's love.
It's all love. Oh yeah, I do everything I speak from love. You know what I'm saying? I just want people to do better. You know what I'm saying? If you know, like my grandma used to say, if you know better, you do better. So if you didn't know, you know what I'm saying? Right. But I encourage you to find out so you can do better if that's what you want to do. Don't just be out here willy-nilly. You can't enter into this game without not a game. It's not a game. You must have a tool bag. Oof. Right? This because you're a practitioner, right? So like you remember the old school doctors used to walk around with the bag?
Yes.
And inside his bag, he had certain tools inside that, or he couldn't get the job done. Before you even start holding space, that's what I'm saying. I had a tool bag that I had brought with me before I even started holding space for people. So therefore, I could reach in this tool bag and help somebody if I need be. I can help myself need be in any situation. You have to get these tool bags. You know what I'm saying? I had certain disciplines like a Kundalini yoga. I was doing Kundalini yoga consistently before I even thought about doing any kind of type of plant medicines. I studied the I Ching. I got heavily into the meta nature, because the meta nature is a practice. It's not just a books you read. It's an actual practice that you get into. You know what I'm saying? So I got heavily into the meta nature. And these things, these specific things are tools that you enter. And by the time you get to psychedelics, you got certain different tools that you can pull out and also assist you in holding space, because it's more, that's what I'm saying. My teachers you have to ingest the same, or if not more, whatever you're giving somebody, so you can be in that space.
Yeah.
You need to be in that space. If you can't hold your medicine for yourself, then you don't need to be holding space for nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, what I learned is you have to also, the reason why you have to sit with yourself so many times is because you also have to learn how to protect yourself. Because one time I did 7 grams and my homegirl did 7 grams, and she used my body to birth herself, and it was painful. And yeah, I didn't know, like,
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
gotta
know
stay
somebody could
guarded.
do
That's what I'm saying. You gotta have tools.
Yeah.
Like flutes, my headdresses, my different wands. These things are tools within this ceremony, because it's not all love and light. Sometimes you might have to battle entities within. I've had to battle entities within myself, within other people, and it's really not a joke. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have tools, if you go into war without a sword and armor, it ain't gonna happen.
Now, pause real quick, because it's about to cut us off. We can stop here and let the people be hungry for more, or we can just start a new meeting.
Yeah, let them be hungry for more.
I like that too.
Yeah. I like that. Ooh, well, he was finna go with it.
Right, exactly. It was the perfect stopping moment.
Yeah, when I come back, we're gonna talk about these entities. That's what we're gonna talk about, because a lot of people don't talk. They always talk about love and light and ancestors. They don't talk about these entities that you have to deal with within yourself and other people.
Let's talk about it, because I've had to face some creatures. It was not, and I wasn't prepared. I got my ass kicked a few times.
I'm sure. Get yourself ready though.
Yeah. But I don't know what that looks like. Maybe we can talk about that next time.
Come sit in ceremony.
Yeah.
That's what that look like.
Okay. I'm gonna be coming down there, because it's getting cold up here anyways. I'm in Kentucky.
Oh, you in Kentucky? I've never been to Kentucky.
You gotta come. It's a beautiful place.
I heard, man.
I'll see you soon.
All right.
Peace. Thank you.
Peace, indeed. Thanks.
Peace.